300's getting a sequel after 7 years. Well, I've been wanting to use this for a while.
Spartans, prepare for sequels!
Let the antics ensue. This is On The Road Reviews. Welcome back to our tens of fans. I'm Justin. Join me tonight. In the back we have Jeni, Keith, and to my right, as is often the case,
Super fit.
be careful with that product placement.
Hey guys.
We are seeing 300 Rise of an Empire. Took them about, what, 6 or 7 years to make a sequel?
It's been a while.
Been a little while, yeah. I was still in college. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The only real complaint I had with the first one was the slow-mo kind of got old after a while. It was cool in the battle scenes because they'd speed it up, slow down, speed it up, slow down. But when it was just like some guy getting off the horse, it's... I think if you kept the original film at its regular speed the entire movie, it would regulate it down to like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
It was an epic 22 minutes, but still. This is supposed to be, from what I understand, it's supposed to take place at the same time of and then after and a little bit before the events of 300.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. When they first announced a sequel to 300, I wasn't really sure if it was just going to pick up after, and then they released the name, Rise of an Empire. So then I was like, well, maybe it's going to be a prequel to 300.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But apparently it's kind of going at the same time as the events of 300. And I was really worried because 300, for those that don't know, is based off of Frank Miller's comic book. And pretty much everything I've read by Frank Miller is amazing. Dark Knight Returns, All-Star, Batman and Robin, The Sin City, the graphic novels. And so I was worried that they were just going to make a sequel just to make one. But apparently it is based off of another book that he's currently writing called Xerxes. So he is still involved, at least with the idea. That's what I was worried about. It was just going to be, hey, let's just make a movie.
Yeah, for shits and giggles.
Yeah, we got a budget, so let's make the sequel to 300.
I'm excited about, it's Eva Green. She's going to be like the main villain in it besides Xerxes. And most people would probably know her as Vesper Lynd from Casino Royale.
I'm the money.
Every penny of it.
And I think she's also going to be in Sin City, too, isn't she?
Yeah, I was reading something the other night about how she's going to be in 2 Frank Miller movies back to back.
I like her. I don't recall the name of the lead actor in this one, the lead hero. But, yeah, looks pretty good. Prepare for slow-mo epicness.
Yeah, I mean, what they did, I thought they did great. And then you kind of had the Stars made the Spartacus series, which was in the same vein. It kind of felt like almost a carbon copy to begin with, but it was amazing.
Yeah,
not
that
for
was
the kids, definitely.
Yeah, definitely not for the kids.
Much hard to believe, but much worse than 300 as far as the brutality and nudity and sex.
At least on the trailer, I saw a lot of it takes place like in the ocean on boats. So it'll be interesting to see how in that time they did things. As far as the violence and the gore, I remember in 300 it was kind of very gruesome. I'm not a big fan of that, so maybe I can only imagine if they're going to be in tight quarters like that, it'll probably be 10 times worse, perhaps. But I did like the movie 300, so I'm hoping that this one kind of sets its standards just as high too.
I like the last 300. I mean, I could live without this movie if I never saw it, but hopefully it changes my mind. But I'm pretty sure it's just going to be an action flick. Copy-paste.
Is this based on real Greek stories?
Very loosely. I mean, the story of the 300, it actually did happen. Of course, they took some artistic license with it. But there really was a group of 300 Spartans. It was led by Leonidas, and they did hold off the Persian army until the Spartan army got together. That was true. The rest of it, So, an empire rose. There were 300 men involved, give or take. A few thousand.
Ruled by women.
Which empire exactly rose? Because I'm still a little fuzzy on that.
I think part of it is because of the rise of the Persians, but also it's the rise of all of Greece against them. I think it's supposed to be like a dual meaning.
Right.
But yeah, I liked it. The slow-mo-ness was still there, but it didn't annoy me as much this time. I think they, I don't know. I
Because
think
the
they
ships are already going slow-mo.
Maybe that's it.
Right.
That does make sense. Phil?
For me, it's not as memorable as the first 300 was. There's just so many moments in the first 300 that just stay with you, and just so many awesome little one-liners. Or
there's no reason we can't be civil. Give them nothing, but take from them everything. Lay down your weapons. Persians, come and get them.
it's just, I mean, I liked it. And it was interesting seeing the naval battles. I mean, it was cool with like the ships fighting and whatnot, but that gives it less of a 300 feel. There's still, people getting their arms chopped off and heads split open and all that. But the naval battles, while were cool, I wasn't really expecting them at first because I tried not to watch too many trailers. But I mean, it was still good. And if you like the first one, I'm sure you'll still like this one. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't as memorable as 300 is.
Wasn't quite as epic, I guess.
Right. I know I use that word a lot, but I would say it wasn't as epic as 300. But it was still really good for, what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, for a sequel that kind of takes place alongside the events of 300, that's what I thought was interesting about it.
And so long after the first movie.
Some parts of it take place before, some of it is during, some of it is after, but it all fits together. And if you are familiar with the original 300, you'll see some of the nods, like, well, insert spoilers here. No, I'm not going to say them.
But I like that they did bring back several of the cast members from 300, even if it was only for a little, 2-minute cameo. To see that they took the time to, come back. airbrush some abs on you or something if you haven't really kept up with it.
For it being a sequel, I thought it was okay. I love the actress who played
Artemisia.
Yes, I can never get her name right. I love her, the way she acts. She did a really good job in this movie. The message that I got from this movie is you never mess with a horny woman who's out for revenge. That's a big no-no. And 300 took place on land. This took place in water. So there is some differences. I thought it was an okay movie. It was good.
I'm waiting for the 303, where it's 300 guys up in the air in a balloon, just looking down, and they're like, damn, that just sucks. And they just start drinking beer. And it's like 300 and the second 300 just from a top view. And it's the entire movie. Yeah. Hollywood, get on that now.
Oh,
It's gonna be an awesome. It'll be like McHale's Navy, but in the air.
and if you are going to watch this movie, I'd recommend watching it in 3D. We didn't get to watch it in 3D, but the way that the movie is made is for 3D purposes with all the blood and all that stuff. I think you'd have a better experience if you did watch it in 3D. That's just my opinion. You can take it or leave it. There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Oh, and...
Dramatic pause!
And the reason why I think the movie is as epic as 300 is because the effects that 300 had done, no movie at that time had done. So they kind of use the same effects for this one. So it's kind of like, well, they're just kind of doing the same thing. There's nothing new or amazing that they bring to this film. So, but it's worth watching, I think.
Definitely worth watching once. I wouldn't watch it. I mean, it's fun and there's action and stuff like that, but it reminded me more of like I don't know, gave like a Desperate Housewives vibe or something like that. It was really weird. Like they had so much focused on that girl, and it was like, oh, she was beaten. No, she was, taken advantage of in her life, and now she's out for revenge. She's hitting the town with a whole fleet of ships, and she's gonna show them what for. Yeah, I don't know. It just focused too much on the girl, and it kind of just left like the main guy to the side. It's like, all right, you already got hit once in the cheek by Leonidas. That's it. You're done. It's over.
Are you talking about Xerxes?
Yeah. Like he didn't really play a big role. He was just kind of like a figurehead.
Well, I mean, the story was how he came about to his position, which was because of her. So that's why I think the story was centered around her, too.
Yeah, but still, for being like, oh, I'm a god, he doesn't really do a lot of stuff by himself,
But then again, he is pretty much just a puppet of his title. The only time you ever see him on the battlefield is when he's claiming heads after the battle's won, because he is a fake. And I think the reason, besides Artemisia's story being focused on, is that he didn't do as much in this one, is because, just like I was saying before, part of the story takes place during the events of 300. Well, Xerxes was present, in close proximity to the events of 300, fighting the Spartans. So, you know what I'm saying? He's over here doing something off screen while she's doing her thing here.
I don't know. I still feel like they pushed it on the storyline just so that they could have like a love interest. Like for that one scene where they were like making love, I think they put in a lot of stuff to make that
I don't
happen.
even know if that was making love. I
Well,
think it was
not making love.
Yeah.
it was like beating each other up, but sexually.
Sex fighting. Sex food.
Martial artists, get on that.
But yeah, a lot of butts and boobs and bald people and gold and capes. Lord, how many capes did they have? There's like a fleet of Supermen could have gone through, cleared it out.
And lots of abs.
Gotta love a commander with great personality.
She's a badass. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she does have a badass.
Bazinga!
Ah, my face! Yeah.
Alright, it's been 7 years since the original 300. Why are we doing sequel? Who cares? Let's get to the violence! I greatly enjoyed the original 300 back in 2007. The concept was simple. King Leonidas leads a battalion of 300 Spartans in an attempt to hold off the entire Persian army, buying time for reinforcements to arrive. So is this one another epic chapter to the franchise? Or are these reinforcements 7 years too late? Sullivan Stapleton plays Themistocles, our hero of the film. He leads the Athenian forces against the naval forces of Xerxes, the so-called God King. Themistocles is much more of an everyman type of hero than Leonidas was. Yes, he gives his inspiring speeches, and he's a talented commander and fighter in his own right. But unfortunately, he just doesn't have the same power and presence as Leonidas did. Every word out of that guy's mouth was a roaring fountain of awesomeness.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
Rodrigo Santoro is back playing Xerxes, the self-proclaimed God King of Persia. Since parts of the film take place before, during, and after the events of 300, we actually get to see Xerxes' backstory and eventual rise to power. Let's just hope that his reign fares better than some other God Kings I know of. His forces are led by Artemisia, played by Eva Green. And I'm gonna go ahead and say Artemisia is one of my favorite villains ever. She's very much an equal to Themistocles in regards to fighting ability and tactical thinking, and she even tries to get him to join her side.
You offered freedom without consequence or responsibility.
Are you accepting my offer?
My answer is still no.
She's smart, she's sexy, she's a badass, and surprisingly well written. We see that she's there pulling strings behind the scenes, helping to further Xerxes' goals as an extension of her own. Beneath this cold, hard-ass exterior lies a soul who's suffered great loss, and whose experiences have molded her into a tightly coiled spring of rage and hate that is strong enough and sly enough to do anything she can in order to achieve her goals. And I mean anything. So needless to say, when this lady sets sail for action, she's not going to be chilling back on the boat for very long.
I'm not here as a witness!
Whereas the battles in 300 primarily took place on land, the ones in this film actually take place at sea. And the engagements are suitably epic in nature. It's a giant game of Greek-style battleship with the same stylistic flair of the original 300. This plus appearances by Queen Gorgo, Dilios, the Persian messenger, and even the traitor Ephialtes also serve to further unite the two films and connect our characters.
Leonidas' sacrifice will not be forgotten. Avenge him.
Nice touches, by the way, filmmakers. There wasn't much I disliked about this film. If you enjoyed the first 300, you'll like this one as well. Overall, I think it's a fitting chapter to the 300 saga. I give 300 Rise of an Empire 4 slow-mo sword swipes out of 5.
You're no god. You're just a man.
Choose your glory!
Go forth, tens of fans, and seize your glory. This is Justin with On The Road Reviews, and we'll see you in the movie line.